Hello, I'm Kareem Ahmed, and I'm living in Hinsdale, Illinois. And with my mentor, closely, I researched the influence of music and short-term memory recall for high-functioning people with dementia. I chose to research this topic because one of my neighbors suffers from dementia, and this led me to volunteer at an assisted living home called Harvester Place. So in 8 months volunteering there, I've seen the various struggles that people with dementia face, so I wanted to use my passion in music to hopefully find a way to help people with dementia live independently. To understand dementia, we first gotta talk about cognition. Cognition is simply the way the brain functions. And one key aspect of cognition is memory. While memory is typically seen as short-term and long-term memory, there are multiple more different types of memory. The memory I focused on was working memory, which is more immediate and about the task at hand. Dementia is typically seen as just simple memory loss. However, the Alzheimer's Association detail it as a general term that affects all of cognition. I still focused on memory, however, it is important to know that people with dementia will suffer various cognitive impairments. Lots of previous research identify the effects of music on various people, such as stroke patients, neurotypical people, and people with dementia. However, most of these studies either have user input or they just aren't specifically about people with dementia. So I sought to find how does listening to music impact short-term and working memory in people with dementia. This listening to music will not have any user input. I hypothesized that listening to pop music will improve memory recall for people with dementia compared to a no-intervention control group. The materials used were 2 articles. Both are from NBC News and both had a 6th grade reading level. Both articles were also cropped down to have an equal word count. 2 copies were made, one for the researcher, which was me, and one for the participant. In addition, one song was chosen, and that was Sunflower by Sway Lee. A speaker was used to make sure that participants could hear the audio. Finally, 5 comprehension questions were made to gauge memory retention. While my school did not have an IRB, I attempted to follow all ethical procedures. I gained consent of 2 assisted living homes to conduct my experiment, and participants all gave their consent to participate in this experiment. First, I identified which group the participant would be in. There were 2 groups, Group A and Group B. Group A would get music in the second trial. For the first trial, I provided a copy of Article 1 to the participant, and I brought my own copy. I informed them about the task, which was we would read the article, and then I would ask them comprehension questions. Next, I read the article aloud, while the participant followed along, to make sure that the participant could fully understand the article. Then, I asked them the 5 comprehension questions. If they answered correctly, I gave them a point. If they didn't answer correctly, or if they did not know, I did not give them a point. I repeated this with Article 2, playing music if the participant was in Group 1, or Group A. Now, the graphs did not show much improvement. In Figure 1, we see the means of the differences in scores overall. As we can see, both means were very close to 0. This is further shown in Figure 2, where if we see the differences in the number of questions answered, only Group B had significant differences, and even then, it was significant on both sides, the positive and the negative. Table 1 also shows a lot of the differences, but it also shows that lots of these differences were very minimal, such as question 1 for Group A just having a 0-point difference, and with Group B only having a 1-point difference. However, there were some more extreme differences, such as question 3 with Group B, which went from 4 to 8. Unfortunately, I had to accept the null hypothesis, which means that there was no correlation between music and memory, because of the minimum change between trials. Now, my study was not perfect. I don't have a PhD, I'm not a professional researcher. So, different limitations, such as the question order, whichever trial had music, and even participant health affected my results. Participant health was also very important, because lots of participants had hearing impairments, had low attention spans, had emotional variance depending on how their mood was that day, and even had anxiety about the task at hand. So to conclude, there's no notable effects with music and memory. However, hopefully these results can help future researchers address these limitations and find some way to help music improves the lives of people with dementia. Thank you.